When we were talking about Project 2025 and pushing towards the handmaid's tale, people acted like we were overblowing things, that we were exaggerating. But that's literally where we have been. We have watched women's rights, women's reproductive rights be chipped away. And that is where we're going, where women are being criminalized. We saw what happened with Brittany Watts. We've watched what's going on as women are made to carry around fetuses that are unviable. That's where we are. Right now, there are forced birther groups that are incentivizing ex-husbands and ex-boyfriends to turn in their exes if they have had an abortion. So let's get into this article. Anti-abortion groups accused of pushing advertisement for domestic abuse with new plans. Spouses and boyfriends are coordinating with anti-abortion groups to go after the women in their lives who may have terminated a pregnancy. Now, those same groups are running ads to encourage men to turn in more women. One such case in Texas is being litigated against a New York clinic that mailed an abortion drug to a woman in the state. The boyfriend then found the drug and turned her into law enforcement. That story has inspired one group in Texas to search for more men eager to strike out on their former partners by launching Facebook and X ads, reported the Washington Post. One anti-abortion group in Texas has already found several men who want to join up as plaintiffs against women in their lives. The strategy right now is to tell dads that if you're the father of a child victim of an abortion, you have legal rights. There may be a way to hold these people accountable, said John Ciego, the group's president. Despite the abortion bans that have been passed in red states around the country, women have been able to access drugs through the mail, which for now are still legal abortions. That could change with a newly rebooted law that the United States Supreme Court ruled didn't have the standing previously. The Texas laws are incentivizing these men to come forward by offering to pay them $10,000 in attorney's fees from the women they turned in. Historically, fathers didn't have legal standing. They were shut out of the whole thing because the law said it's a woman's right to choose, Ciego said. Legal expert Madiba K. Denny, who is the deputy editor at the legal commentary website Balls and Strikes, called the advertisement plan from the anti-abortion groups advertisement for domestic abuse. Conservative activist lawyers don't think women should be able to decide whether to get or stay pregnant, which makes them natural allies of men who want to control their partners, she said about the lawsuits. So that is where we are. Imagine in some of these states where women don't have rights, even if they were raped or they had incestual situations going on within the household, and then they found a way to get around that. They could be turned in. That is where we are. That is where we're going. No, that's not where we're going. We're literally there. We're in the handmaid's tale. We're criminalizing miscarriages. We're making women carry these unviable fetuses. And why? Why are we punishing women for all of this? I don't know. Okay, I just needed to let y'all know what is going on in Texas. Let's talk about Oklahoma. This is a red state, a state in the Bible Belt. This article is titled, Marriage and Child Incentive Bills Look to Curb Divorce Rate. All right, let's just jump into it. A lawmaker is proposing two laws involving marriage. One incentivizes it. The other, he says, will curb the state's divorce rate, which ranks 5th in the country. However, opponents say this is an example of the state overstepping its bounds. This is talking about covenant marriage. They're literally trying to make this all about religion. All right, it says one proposal requires couples to attend marriage counseling before they can file for divorce. The other gives a tax credit to married couples as long as it is their biological child. What's very hard about these bills is that they're very clearly trying to set up what is a good marriage versus a less appropriate marriage. Shannon Fleck, Oklahoma Faith Network Director. Oklahoma is considered one of the worst states when it comes to tying the knot. Nearly 1 out of every 100 marriages ends in divorce. Marriage, I think, has been degraded so much that it's now one of the flimsiest and most trivial contracts that exist, Senator Dusty Devers said. It's one of the very few legal contracts that I'm aware of that you can actually break at any time for any reason. For this reason, Deaver is filing two bills. The Covenant Marriage Act allows people to opt into a marriage that is more along the lines of what marriage is supposed to be, which is till death do us part. Senate Bill 288, known as the Covenant Marriage Act, would require couples to sign a declaration of intent upon marriage. It also makes it harder to get a divorce. Any struggle during the marriage would require counseling. The only way a divorce would be granted is if a spouse can prove abandonment of at least a year, abuse, or adultery. Opponents of the bill, like Reverend Shannon Fleck, who holds a doctorate in ministry, believe this is an example of the state overstepping its bounds. Couples make choices in their relationship. They journey through life together, and life is hard. The choices we make with our partner, our spouse, our family, our siblings, our friends are ours to make. The state doesn't have a stake in marriage except for the legality pieces. Then there's Senate Bill 328, the Promote Child Thriving Act. Deaver says the goal is to keep a two-parent household intact for the child's sake. Where there is a marriage that's intact and a mother and a father in the home, the children thrive in their mental health, their emotional health, their physical health. The bill also includes an incentive, $500 for each child under 18 living in the home of a mother and a father while they're still married. $500 is not very much money. Is it $500 for a one-time fee? Is it $500 a year? Is it $500 a month? That's not that much of an incentive, but go ahead and weigh in on that part. $1,000 for each child under 18 living in the home of a mother and a father who said, "I do," before having children. I think the language used in this bill that's providing a tax credit, it keeps on saying a natural marriage, a natural marriage. We know what they mean by that. This means if there is a step parent, a same-sex couple, a child was adopted, or any case where the kid is not the biological child of the married couple, you are not eligible. It is creating bills that set up what is good versus what is not good, Fleck said. They do that with the intention because inevitably they will be the ones who get to decide who gets benefits, who gets legality, who gets money, and who gets resources. When asked specifically about this, Deaver said, "I'd have to look into it further." Fleck says this answer is worrisome for her for what may come. Look, they are literally saying that no matter what, women need to be stuck, need to be hostages because they're only giving a few outs. And this is a relationship. This does not mean, anybody can break a contract. People can break business contracts. How are you going to force women to stay married? And if they do pass these things, why would women choose to get married? Let's stay in Oklahoma. I was raised here, the Bible Belt, extra red state, extra Christian-y. And they have another thing that is just right on par with these Christians. Oklahoma aims to ban all but two cities from providing homeless shelters and outreach. Okay. An Oklahoma bill would make it illegal for all cities in the state except for Oklahoma City and Tulsa to provide shelters or outreach for homeless citizens, and also would require them to immediately end any existing programs. Oklahoma Senate Bill 484, introduced and authored by newly elected Senator Lisa Standridge, would ban all cities in Oklahoma with fewer than 300,000 residents from using city resources to operate homeless shelters or perform homeless outreach. Only Oklahoma City and Tulsa have more than 300,000 residents, meaning if SB 484 were to pass, it would apply to every city in the state except for Oklahoma City and Tulsa. If any cities with the population below 300,000 that currently operates homeless shelters or outreach programs, the bill will require the cities to immediately terminate them. Specifically, SB 484 says, no municipality in this state with a population of less than 300,000, according to the most recent federal decennial census, shall provide programs or services to homeless persons, including, but not limited to, owning or leasing land for the purpose of building or maintaining a homeless shelter. What kind of Christianity is this? What mess is this? Any municipality that meets the population requirements set forth in subsection B of this section that is providing programs or services to homeless persons on the effective date of this act shall immediately terminate such services, and if the municipality currently owns or leases land for the purpose of building or maintaining a homeless shelter, cease using the land for such purpose. The bill defines a homeless person as anyone who lacks a fixed income, regular and adequate nighttime residence, has a primary nighttime residence, a publicly or privately operated shelter designed to provide temporary living accommodation, has a primary nighttime residence, a public or private place not designed for or ordinarily used as a regular sleeping accommodation for human beings, or persons and families who do not have access to normal accommodations as a result of violence or the threat of violence from a cohabitant. So homeless people, that could be, it says lacks a fixed, regular, or adequate nighttime residence. What if it is a woman who is in a DV situation, who doesn't work, who got put out, or needs to escape? I mean, I don't know what is wrong with these people. They're incentivizing women to stay in terrible relationships with this. They are being cruel to people who may have fallen on hard times and are now homeless because of it. But you can be accommodated if you live in Tulsa or Oklahoma City, but not in any of the outskirts. Cruelty is the point. If passed, the bill would take effect November 1st. So right before the holidays, right before winter. Good on you, Oklahoma. News 4 reached out to Senator Standridge for an interview but did not get a response. Numerous Oklahoma leaders who work in homeless outreach say SB 484 would be catastrophic if enacted. In a statement, Homeless Alliance CEO Megan Mueller told News 4, "We are disappointed to hear about SB 484 and find it counterproductive to our approach to homeless services. Homelessness can affect anyone, be they in urban, suburban, or rural areas. Moving a problem is different from solving a problem. Homeless response systems in large cities are already strained beyond capacity. When you limit the ability of communities to respond to the needs of their own residents, no one wins. This is not culturally competent, nor does it take into account the impact on other communities in our state. We hope that our senators understand some of these concerns as they discuss this bill." George Young, a pastor and former state senator from Oklahoma City, said he can't wrap his head around why SB 484 would ever be thought necessary. "I can't imagine why a piece of legislation of that nature would even be brought up." Young says, as a pastor, he can't square the bill's proposal with the Bible's teachings to help the needy and love thy neighbor. "I can't help you if you try to give me to give you some logic behind a piece of legislation like that." It's not the first time Young has seen lawmakers try to address the homelessness issue in ways he finds questionable. Last April, Governor Stitt signed into law a bill that made it a crime to camp along the public right of way. So that's just how they are. They are cruel in these states. And I really hope that people are able to get away. I left soon after high school because I couldn't see myself being in a state like this. Join the conversation, like, comment. And one more thing about Oklahoma. This content creator kind of drops the mic with this video. We all need to see this because she makes some great points talking about bringing the Bible into schools when it's not even working in their own churches. So go ahead and watch this video.
I went to church every Sunday until I was 25. I graduated from Christian University and I studied theology in Israel. You got real butthurt about the fact that I pointed out why put the Bible in schools when it's not working in churches. Let me explain that to you in real time. Oklahoma got really excited about putting the Bible and the Ten Commandments back in schools. And then what happened? A teenager got beaten to death in a high school bathroom. And Representative Tom Wood said, we're going to keep that filth out of Oklahoma because that 16-year-old child was part of the LGBT community. Now Oklahoma has proposed a bill that would make it illegal to have homeless shelters, except in 2 cities, Oklahoma City and Tulsa. Also, homelessness extends to people that are fleeing domestic violence. It is illegal to offer shelters to these people. So you see here, I have my Bible, the one that I bothered to read. And over 2,000 times in this book, it says to help the poor and the alien. You want to hear some? Let's start with Leviticus. Leviticus 19:33, when the alien lives with you in your land, do not mistreat them. The alien living with you must be treated as one of your native born. And James 1:27, religion that God our Father accepts as pure and holy is to help orphans and widows in their distress. Why don't we bounce over to Proverbs next? Proverbs 14:31, he who oppresses the poor shows contempt for their maker, but whoever is kind to the needy honors God. While we're at it, let's pop over to Zechariah. Have you read Zechariah, Derek? Because Zechariah 7:8-10 says, the Lord came to Zechariah and said, this is what the Lord Almighty says, administer true justice and show mercy and compassion to one another. Do not oppress the widow, the fatherless, the alien, or the poor.